Welcome back to Aspiring Creator, where we talk about stuff that has happened since last week's episode, where I essentially just write a list of all the things that's going on, and I cover off all of them in no particular order, just as my to-do list tells me to. Now, I've just literally got off a plane from Munich, from Germany, so I am a little bit slow in terms of my brain power right now. It was a 3-day trip with Xiaomi for the launch of their 15T series. And so let's just crack on with the list of things to talk about. So first thing on my list is, how the heck do we make our money? This was a comment, and a few of these this week are comments and questions from people previously. So how the heck do we make our money? And I think this was like the how the heck do we make so much money? And I think for our level where we are right now, so we are currently at 300 and something odd, 360 odd thousand subscribers. And I've got all my numbers in front of me, so I'm quite happy and willing to pull numbers out of our finances. So roughly speaking, we are doing around about £30,000 to £50,000 every month, roughly speaking, and lots of that, like the vast majority of that, is sponsorships. Over half of that is sponsorships. We're doing 3 to 5k in terms of YouTube AdSense. Affiliates is kind of bouncing between like 3 to 4, 3 to 5k, depending on the month. And obviously, as we approach the end of the year, so Black Friday and Q4 and Christmas, all of the ad rates will go up. Affiliates will likely go up as more people are buying things for Christmas, so that will just naturally go up as well. And so I guess let's talk about the sponsorships, how we do sponsorships, because how we make our money is in sponsorships. Fundamentally, we do sponsorships, and there are many ways of doing this. We have recently signed up with an agency. A bit too early to tell kind of how that's going. It's going well so far. But right up until now, we've been doing sponsorships ourselves. And a lot of that has involved in reaching out to brands directly. We've also, plastered our contact email address across all of our socials. So if you go into any of our social platforms, the whole link in bio, there's links to our media kits, there's links to our email address to contact us. So I guess first step is make yourself as contactable as possible. Don't hide away your email addresses from any of your kind of profiles. You want to put something on display. And we've got like a generic hello @ email address that brands and everyone emails essentially. So that's like the first step. And the second step is really getting a feel for how valuable you are to brands, because it is not built on subscriber numbers. Like, I know a lot of people that are tiny in terms of like subscriber numbers, but still doing very well from sponsorships, from affiliates. And scrolling right back here, I was having a quick look through my figures. So right back on, so March of 2021, I had 9,000 subscribers, and we were doing sponsorships. We did £700 in sponsorships. The month before that, we did £1,700. And if I fast forward to March of 2022, a year later, we were at 34,000 subscribers, and we had done sponsorships. We had done 7,300 in sponsorships that month. And so a lot of this, and then, there's still a relatively small channel, 34,000 subscribers. A lot of this is just knowing a lot about your channel, your audience, the data. And particularly, I would say, if you are pitching brands, then you need to have some form of data to show them that, they should pay the rate you're quoting. Firstly, all the rate you're charging is probably nowhere near what it should be charging. I find a lot of people, like so many brands I still speak to today, I do get responses that are like, oh, well, we're working with this channel that has 1 million subscribers and they did it for $500. So you should be doing it for $500. And no, that channel that has 1 million subscribers should not be doing it for $500. That's the problem, not me. Secondly, like something that's worth doing is adding links and using a service like Genius Links so you can track the clicks on those links, even from a very, very early stage. Like I was using Genius Link, I think, from when we started, because I wanted to be able to see what was going on. And with Genius Link, I can see which videos are performing well in terms of affiliate clicks, which are actually driving sales, whether it's things on our website are doing well, whether it's the videos, whether it's blog posts, whether it's social stuff. You can track everything. And initially, like when you first sign up for it, you're not going to notice much. It's just be like a few clicks here and there. But it's one of these services where it's relatively affordable. You kind of switch off, other than like obviously going in and creating affiliate links in there from time to time. But you switch off to it, and then you come back maybe a year later, and you just go, "Oh, hey, wonder what's going on with like our clicks." And we just get a ridiculous number of clicks nowadays. I wasn't expecting anything near the number of clicks that we actually get when I first checked the system. I'm gonna have a quick check of the system now. Just again, just blows my mind every time I look at it. So for the past 30 days. we have had 50,000 clicks on the links that we're tracking. And there are a few times brands want us to use their specific links. We always try and run their specific links through our specific links if we can, because we want to be able to track the clicks. But broadly speaking, always have the click in there so you can at least have the data when you speak to any brands. You could, for example, you could go and buy, I don't know, an Anchor battery pack off of Amazon for, I don't know, 50 or 100 quid or something. You could feature it in a video. You could then get some click data as to how many people are clicking on that video. You may even sell some, and you sign up for their affiliate program. You may well sell some. But now you could approach, I don't know, Anchor or Ugreen or like any of the other charging brands and say, hey, sponsor a video of mine. We have made a video before and previously featured this product in it, and it had this many clicks and drove this many sales. Like, just because you don't have sponsorships right now doesn't mean you don't have data that you can use to, use as leverage when you are negotiating. So yeah, that's like well worth doing for when you're starting out in terms of like making money. And in terms of, I think the challenge that I have, and I think where this question came from was talking about EFA specifically, and the tech trade show events are always a struggle. I always never know what to do, whether it's, shall I do short form video? Sometimes I want to do short form video, but the brands don't want to pay for short form video. They all want the long form video, but I don't want to do the long form video. But they'll pay for the long form video. So you get pulled and pushed like every way which to try and figure things out. Anyway, that was the first one. Hope that was... These are meant to be like really short. I'm going to try and keep it short and condensed as much as possible. Answer this question. Would love you to hear about your first sponsorship deals when you became a full-time tech YouTuber. How much you earned, quoting mistakes, and the best results you've produced for a tech brand. I would say, in terms of best results, there's a couple that just come to mind very, very quickly for me. It is parcel managers, always converted very, very well for us, and have given us a great relationship with many parcel manager brands. Similar to cloud storage, it was those early wins, definitely like the established relationships with a lot of brands. Case brands as well, we've done, Magback sponsor our channel a lot. I'm a huge personal fan of their cases. I use them on literally every phone that they possibly make one for. And we've had, again, a long-standing relationship with them, and I love the cases, and they sell very, very well. Well, we've sold for the case brand, we've sold over £100,000 worth, well over £100,000 worth of cases. For parcel managers, we have sold well over 100, probably more than £200,000 worth of parcel managers over the years. And this is something that's also a struggle, in that a brand comes to you for one video and they expect that one video to be a huge success. It's not going to be a huge success. Like, you need to get that brand in multiple videos, so the audience, the viewers that are watching your video, get familiar with the brand. And it's that whole like association of like, oh yeah, I remember that. Pete was talking about that thing the other day in one of his videos, and he mentioned it a few times. And so it's it's like when you're learning something, there's this whole thing of, if you read something 3 times, then you remember it and retain the information. And it's very similar to that with sponsorships and integrations of, do one, it could and might perform and could perform brilliantly. But the chances are, if you do 2, 3, 4, 6, that's going to perform much, much better, and like the whole compounding interest effect. Challenge is, most brands won't sign up for 2, 3, 6, 10 videos. They want to sign up for one because that's their budget and that's their campaign. So that was the best results. Mistakes we've made. We've definitely made some mistakes over the years. I'm trying to think if there's anything immediately that comes to mind. I think mistakes are just generally more often with communication, like not communicating things properly with the brands. I'm a big fan of trying to be as organized as possible and putting processes in place, and automation. If you can automate something and spend, I don't know, a little bit longer doing it, but you do it once and it's automated, I would do that every time. In fact, I've got Matt that works with me here. He's very good with that stuff. And we're starting to look into more ways to automate things, using AI tools and Zapier and using Claude and all sorts of other things at the moment. So there's lots more we can do around automations. Those first sponsorship deals. So my first sponsorship deals, my background is in IT. I used to run an IT company. And so when I left to start YouTube, or I sold my company and started YouTube, I actually saw there was a company that we had, was essentially one of our suppliers. They were advertising a competition for, they wanted a video, submit your video and the winner will win $500 or something like that. And I saw that, and it was COVID and I had nothing better to do. So I was like, yeah, cool, let's make a video for them. And I won their competition. So I won the $500. And then that turned into like a monthly recurring thing with them. It was like a fixed fee. They just paid us a fixed fee a month. And we produced, I think it was 1 or maybe 2 videos a month for them. But for me, as soon as I had that income, I then spent it straight away on a full-time video editor. Maybe not full-time at the time, but I spent it on a video editor because that then freed me up way more to then go and make more videos or research more videos. So like very much, trying to reinvest and free up my time to do the thing that I'm good at. And the editing is something I'm not very good at and takes an awful long time. Like if I was editing videos, I couldn't like do half as much as we're currently doing. So those first sponsorship deals were mostly related to previous connections we had. And then just over the time, it was 1Password. I featured them in, I did like a password roundup video and they were in the list. And I think I messaged their support email address at one point. And I just had a guy just kind of responded from their support team and said, oh, hey, I live like down the road from you, I think. And it just like started this whole relationship and introduced the affiliate program and the sponsorship program and like did some first sponsorship deals with them. They performed very well. And it's just been like uphill since then, essentially. So that's how things got started. Adding this thing on to something we mentioned in last week's video and last week's podcast was adding chapters to videos. And I've added a little comment onto this now because I'm wondering if it's actually beneficial to add those chapters in maybe like a week or 2 or a month after the video is published. So you're being, helpful to people that are now coming across that video a month or so later. But I definitely find in that initial traction window, that initial, like you posted the video, having the chapters within that video seems to kill the retention. No, not kill it, but it makes the retention on the video worse because people are just clicking on the links and jumping around the video rather than just watching the video all the way through and seeing it kind of as you've intended it. Not saying my videos are anything like a movie, but you don't get like chapters in movies where you skip through. Although you do if you get a DVD, if you know what DVD is, because I'm old. Okay, it is very much iPhone season. I would say potentially coming to the end of iPhone season. This is an interesting one. So I've been watching, we posted a few iPhone videos. I've been watching the views and everyone else's videos going out. And there was definitely a period where, the iPhone was first launched. There was a period where you posted almost any video and it did nuts, like in terms of views. Videos in the last few days, I've noticed have slowed down significantly. So we were actually planning a Apple Watch buyer's guide video that we've actually decided to push till the end of October because there seems to be like a slump. I think everyone's just they've seen so much Apple news that they're kind of fed up a bit now. We also posted an Apple Watch buyer's guide at this time last year and it performed well for us. So again, we're using our data that we have to then make informed decisions on what we should do with this year's videos. The downside of that is that I am watching all of these videos go live. And we, generally speaking, we do not review the iPhone ever. Maybe I've done one once because they just don't seem to perform that well for us. All the Android video reviews seem to perform well for us. Just the iPhone, for some reason, just doesn't. Even though half my audience is iPhone, half the audience is Android users. So what it does mean is that as I've been watching these other videos go live, I get like huge FOMO because I'm like, all these people that have been posting unboxings, a few of the guys I know, they literally got the iPhone, went to their studio, sat down, did an unboxing, 2 unboxings. So they did the iPhone Air and they did the Pro. And then they've just basically done a rough edit, posted the videos. And those videos have done like 50 to 100,000 views within a few days. And I just kind of look at those and just go, oh, we should have done that. Why didn't we do that? But then I have to, again, kind of ground myself and remember that I'm not trying to just push out as many videos as we can. We want to make sure the videos we do push out are like high quality and telling a good story and have a good topic and a good packaging thumbnail and that kind of thing. But it is like very disheartening, particularly when some of those videos that we do post then don't get the views that we expected. And then like the easy stuff like, oh, we should have just done an iPhone unboxing and done like 50 to 100,000 views. It's never easy to, it's like it happens every single season. I'll comment on here. I saw Patrick Rambles did a MagSafe battery pack video, and this was on, I think it was like Threads or Twitter or something, where he showed that the iPhone Air's MagSafe battery was useful for other things, like you could put it on a desk and then charge any other Android phone, and it did like 2 million views in 24 hours. Absolutely insane. And this is just like definitely the Apple season where it's just everything gets views. It's madness. Question from Harrison here. So again, this was a question from the last podcast. Can you break down definitions of types of sponsorships? Dedicated creators. Do you need to say the video sponsored at the start? Oh, that's a spicy one. Okay, so breaking this into 2 sections. So the definition of types of sponsorships. So generally speaking, There are a few different ways. So you have an integration, and an integration is essentially an ad read, like a 60, 90 to 120 second, like, so basically a minute or 2 minute ad read in the middle of a video. So, the whole like, hey, this video is sponsored by so and so, and this is basically what they want me to talk about because this is the features and this is the products, and click on the link down below and use my affiliate code and discount and blah, 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 go buy their products. And then you go back into the video. That is one type. However, that can also be a pre-roll integration, a mid-roll integration, or a post-roll or end-roll integration. And so that's basically you put the integration at the beginning of the video, in the middle of the video, or at the end of the video. You can also, and this is again, like in terms of sponsorships, we've dabbled with this from time to time. You can also then say, well, the price for a pre-roll that's only like 10 seconds long is this. The price for a mid-roll that is maybe up to 2 minutes is this. And the price for an end roll that's maybe also, so up to 2 minutes is this. So you have 3 options in each video for an integration. So those are like the 3 integration pieces. And when I say like the ad reads, what generally happens is the brand will provide you talking points. So they will have specific things they want you to talk about, and then you get to write it and read it out and just do it in your own words. Again, we know our audience. We want to speak in the way that I would speak. I'm not reading someone else's script. So there's that. That's a definition worth having. And then you have dedicated videos, and dedicated videos are what they say on the tin. It is a video specifically for the thing that they make. So for us, dedicated videos are generally like monitor videos. We've just done one on a laptop, and my take on doing dedicated videos is it's less of it is like opinion based, particularly with the monitor videos, because the monitor videos are, let's just plug in our computers, let's play some games, let's just show you what the performance is like. What's the pixel resolution like? What's the pixel density like? I mean, the thermometer and how hot does the screen get? Which just basically, does the screen do what it says it can do? And we really enjoy those. We've got some great relationships again with brands that like coming to us for those videos. They perform well on our channel. So we just generally do those mostly for monitors, some laptops, and sometimes there's a few other, potentially dedicated types of videos that come through. Again, dedicated videos, generally speaking, are we will write the video. A lot of the time we do send the scripts, definitely like the edit to the brand for review because they're paying for that dedicated video. And this is, again, it depends on like, if it's an opinion based, we're not allowing them to put words in our mouth, like not whatsoever. But for these monitor videos, for example, we want to make sure that if we've said it's like, so it's so many pixels per inch, that's correct. Or, the resolution is this. Or in some cases, we pointed out problems like I can't get the resolution out of my MacBook or my PC. And they'll actually be like, oh, you need to just do this to get it to work. And then we were like, obviously. Okay, let's fix that. So we then update the video and, re-edit it and post that. So that's the definition of a dedicated video. The question of, do you need to say a video is sponsored at the start? This is a very interesting topic. The answer is yes, you should. And so we're based in the UK, and a lot of our viewers are based in the US. And so we, again, as far as I'm aware, when I looked at this a while ago, I am subject to like FTC kind of rules because I'm creating my content for American viewers. So I have to abide by FTC guidelines in terms of what you should do. And most of those regulations, again, when I last checked, were that you have to audibly and visually call out the sponsorship. So you have to say it in your voice. You have to show it on the screen. And you can't, beat around the bush and not say it's sponsored. If technically speaking, also, if you've received money or been given anything of value, then you have to declare that and tell your audience that. So that's why a lot of the time you do watch videos and say, hey, this isn't sponsored, but they did give me the thing. And so that's their way of, declaring that they've been given the thing. The problem is there are many different takes on what this should be. So YouTube has an option that you can tick to say this video includes, paid promotion. And some people believe, well, that ticks the box of the visual thing. So they don't say this video is sponsored because it shows up on the screen and is like paid promotion. And there's also a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, that don't declare sponsorships. They'll receive the gifts for free. They'll get paid for the video in some cases, and they will just won't declare the video is sponsored. Now, I've always erred on the side of like doing what's right, so I do say the video is sponsored. Same with the integrations. You don't have to. This video is sponsored by so and so. Click on the link below, and thanks for sponsoring this video. That kind of thing. But there are a lot of people that don't do any of this and they get away with it. And I don't know, at some point, maybe it's going to hit people in the back of their head or something. But so far, it doesn't. People are getting away with it all the time. And no one seems to care. FTC isn't doing anything about it that I've seen. I've seen no YouTubers have their videos taken down or anything because they didn't declare sponsorships. And a lot of those big creators, again, if you look at, I don't know, but if you look at the big creators and go watch one of their videos that is sponsored and they're not ticking the sponsorship tick box. So there's some loose guidelines around what exactly that involves. Some people think, well, if I've declared it in my video and I put it on the screen, then I don't need to tick the YouTube tick box. But we just do all of it because, belt and braces approach and we're being a bit safe for that. I wrote this down because it's the Snapdragon Summit this week, and I'm missing Snapdragon Summits. I didn't get invited, and this is like, again, just like thoughts that go through my mind sometimes. And so we went with Snapdragon last year to the Snapdragon Summit in Hawaii. For me, it was a really valuable trip because it's where they announced all their new phone chips and laptop mobile CPUs and those kind of things. So it gives me a glimpse of what's coming in the future. And last year I got to see the Snapdragon 8 Elite that was then in the S25 Ultra and lots of the other Android flagships. And so it was really great to be on the ground, so to speak, at the announcements to be able to make some video content and shoot some content around that. I actually went with the Snapdragon Insiders. And so the Snapdragon Insiders is like the fan club of Snapdragon. You don't have to be a content creator. In fact, it's preferred you're not a content creator because there were other people on the trip with me that were just like, hey, I just love football. I'm really into Manchester United, sponsored by Snapdragon. So they invited me on the trip, which is totally cool. And I felt a bit like I didn't belong there because I felt like I was taking the place of a true fan. Like, I'm a fan of Snapdragon, but it's also kind of my job to make videos about Snapdragon, about their phones and about devices. I think of myself as media. I'm there to cover an event. I'm there to cover the new announcements. And it was incredible. Like, I won't lie, the whole experience was incredible. But I did go back to speak to Snapdragon and say, look, A, how the heck do I get here next year? And B, is there a way I can get in as media? Because I just feel like my place isn't as an insider. And so I did that, and I didn't get invited this year because apparently, I don't know, there just aren't spaces for media. I don't know. I just thought I'd mention this because, these... As you get bigger as a YouTuber, as a content creator, you just imagine you get to invite to all these places, and it doesn't always happen. It's like the trip invites are really, really random. So I had to chase a brand the other day because I hadn't heard anything, but I actually heard from somebody else that there was a trip happening, and then they suddenly replied back and said, oh yeah, of course, no, there's a trip, and here are the dates, and we'll let you know more later. But unless I'd reached out to them, you wouldn't have really known any otherwise. And this is something I was having a chat with somebody on the trip about, as a content creator, it's really difficult to stay on top of the launches and the trips. And, like the Xiaomi event we just came back from, I need to have it in my calendar now for the trip next year so I can remember to reach out to them a few months beforehand to be on their radar, to then get invited to that trip, to then cover the trip. And it's the same times 50 brands because, same with, OnePlus, obviously like Apple and Samsung, and Honor and Oppo, and there's so many other brands, and that's just mobile. And then you've got all the other laptops and cars and all the other stuff that's going on. A little tip here, because I added this after someone else went oh, that's really obvious and really, really good points, is in terms of trying to figure out what you're doing with sponsorships, look at who you worked with this time last year. And it's something I do fairly often. I go, course of 4 hits the whole Christmas season. I would go and look at what videos did we post last year and who sponsored those videos. Furthermore, did they actually perform well? Did the videos get views? Did the brand get clicks? Did they make sales? Cool. Let's go reach out to those brands again and re-pitch them. Either the same video, if it's like a buyer's guide where we could just make an annual version of it, or pitch them a different video, but we know it's a good fit. We know we've converted well for them. We've got the good data to show them. And just that's a little tip there because that works quite well sometimes. The 2 more things now. Talk about this Munich trip. So the Xiaomi trip was a really weird trip to go on from my perspective. We as a YouTube channel, we plan our content out quite far in advance. Like if I look in my Monday.com system, we have videos planned up until the end of January, maybe even February right now. So we're really, really organized to a certain extent in terms of the videos we're making at least. And so we get a last minute invite to this event. It's in Munich, so it's in Germany, so it's a very, very short trip away. And my plan is I can make a short about the phone that they're launching, or the devices they were launching. So I say yes, I get the plane tickets, and then I get the the itinerary. And the itinerary is literally, I arrive, I spend a day there. The next day is the events. There's like 2 hours for the event. And then I stay there that night, and then I come home again. So it's like a 3-day event for a 2-hour presentation or 2-hour keynote. And then furthermore, the phone only arrived the day before I went on the event. So I didn't even have any time to really write or record a short form video. Also, the devices I was giving, you have to like give your Xiaomi ID to then they then push you like a beta firmware update that then allows the devices to talk to each other, because they're not like officially released devices. So, and that came through whilst I was on the plane. So it was very, very difficult to like make anything. And basically, I've come back from the trip. I haven't made any videos for them yet. And I'm struggling to find time because I'm just trying to shoot this now. I've got to shoot a video tomorrow that I was planning on shooting whilst I was in Germany, but the weather was so horrendous that we didn't manage to shoot the video. So I'm just a bit backed up in terms of work. But it was a funny one, just because, lots of these trips have things planned to do whilst you're on the trip to, they've given you a new phone. Let's go to some exciting locations and take some cool photos. But there wasn't any of that. And it could have, to me, it felt like I could have literally flown in, done the event, and flown back again very easily. And I would have obviously had a lot more spare time to do other things and do actual work. But I wouldn't have then got to hang out with a load of other content creators and kind of press and news people there. And that was like one of the benefits of going. You get to hang out with a lot of those people. Lastly, how do I pay myself? I thought I'd throw this in because a lot of the kind of chat this week is in terms of like revenue and money and finances and how we earn our money. And thought we'd also talk about how we pay ourselves. So I have done something that I've been doing now for like 8-10 years maybe, and it's called Profit First. And the way this thing works is that, so we have a limited company. All the money comes into the business, all the brands pay us, the affiliate money, all that kind of stuff comes in. At the end of the month, I then figure out how much total money, like physical money, has actually entered our bank account. I put that into a spreadsheet, and then I basically put like 5% here, 10% there, 30% there, and I have accounts created. And in Starling, which is the bank I use, they have pots or spaces. And so I have spaces for things like my taxes, for profits, for like staff bonuses, for my own like personal pension accounts. And so I have things split up. So when I get paid, if I have like a really good month, well then, hey, there's more money to go in the bonuses. There's more money to go in the profit account. There's more money to go in the pension. And so like everything does well. And so I've done that for so long now that we also do it for our personal life. And so when we take our personal money every single month, we then have separate like pots or spaces for things like bills, for the kids' savings accounts, for house renovations, for holidays. So again, wad of money goes in at the top, and it just gets kind of split into these like sub accounts automatically, pretty much. And that works really, really well. And that has worked so well for us. And the whole like premise of this starting was that where I was previously running like a traditional service-based company, so I had an IT support company, we had lots of staff, lots of clients, people would phone us, we'd send an engineer out, we'd charge by the hour and this whole thing. And so we would spend a lot of what we earned, in terms of like reinvest it in the business. We earn a bit of money, we spend it out on more staff and hiring more people and marketing and all this kind of thing. And so just creating a profit account and starting to put 1% of what you earn into that profit account. And if you can't put 1% of what you're earning into a profit account, then you're running a very, very, very badly run finance company. And this is more traditionally based in YouTube and content creation. There is more money flowing around than like traditional businesses. I want to say more money flowing around. That I was running a service-based business. So the more time that I and people invested into things, because it's service-based, you're providing support and services and installation on things. So the more time you give, the more money you get back. With YouTube, that completely flips itself around, because it's nothing about time. It's all about your subscriber growth it's all about your subscribers and your views, and therefore the impact you can have for brands. So I can still spend the same amount of time I did 4 years ago making a video, but because my audience is now bigger, I get paid more for sponsorships. I get paid more in affiliates because more people are watching those videos. So everything just kind of gets more as the years go on. And that's the thing I love so much about content creation, is like the bigger this gets, it still requires the same amount of work, sometimes an even less work, because you're allowed to delegate and outsource, but the financial reward grows. And so that's like That's where I'm at. And so, yes, in terms of like the YouTube side of things and money comes in, it gets split into these sub accounts. And me and my wife, we take like just like a normal salary, so to speak, every single month. And we leave lots of the money in the business because like we don't need all of that money. Like we make our investments. I pay money into pensions and ISAs and stocks and shares and all this kind of stuff every single month. But we take only what we really need to invest and to survive and pay for fuel and, you know, all that kind of stuff. The rest of it stays in the business. It's staying there for paying taxes, for profits. We've just spent $6,000 on iPhones because it's iPhone season. So, you know, we're retaining some of that money so we can then make those investments when the seasons come around, so we can do that. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. That feels like it was a very, very long one. Only 30 minutes. Cool. Not too bad. Once again, thank you so much for listening to The Aspiring Creator. And please do leave a review on any podcast platform. It really, really does make a difference. You might be the first to leave a review on a podcast platform. So I will thank you in advance if you please go and do that. Again, on YouTube, leave a comment down below if you want to ask any questions. More than happy to answer any questions you have. Again, like I'm super, honest and open and transparent with absolutely everything we do. And yeah, I will see you in the next episode. Thank you. Bye-bye.